So the January transfer window is here, and the COVID-19 pandemic has caused quite a few disruptions in the English Premier League. Squads are being stretched, performances are being affected. So in this video, we're going to take a closer look at Arsenal's transfer strategy in this January transfer window. We're going to get some fan perspectives on where they think Arsenal need to invest and assess the current Arsenal squad based on those transfer requirements. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more engaging content like this. So before we proceed, here's a quick table of contents with timestamps if you want to jump to a specific section. Let's start with a few fan perspectives on which positions Arsenal need to focus on in this transfer window.
Yeah, they need an attacking midfielder. They need someone that can spark a bit of life into the team and add a bit of creativity when the game goes flat, like Mesut Ozil did in his first few years at the club, like someone Alexis Sanchez did out on the wing. Even smaller players like Emil Smith-Rowe is doing now, but he's not consistent enough and he's not proven enough. Personally, for me, I think someone like Julian Brandt would be a good signing for them. I think Emi Buendia from Norwich would be a fantastic signing, one of the most underrated players in world football right now. I think just someone to sit in the pivot, even potentially out on the wing, and just give a bit of licence to the likes of Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, because we know how good he can be from his time in the French league. I think they need a new right back. I don't think Bellerin has been the same after that knee surgery he had a few years ago. And I personally don't think Maitland-Niles is a good enough right back to start for a Premier League side. I think he's more of a central midfielder, and I think that that's the position where they're lacking the most, especially with Kieran Tierney on the left back position, just doing so well for the club. And I think that, I know they've been buying a lot of them with Willian, with Pepe, but I think a new right winger or even a left winger to move Aubameyang into the centre. I think Saka's very good, but I prefer him more centrally because he's got that spark of creativity. I don't think Pepe has warranted his price tag, given he hasn't had a consistent run of games for the club. I don't think Willian has been anywhere near as productive as he should have been. And I think Aubameyang is better going through the middle. So I think they need to sign a new winger just to free up Aubameyang a little bit. I mean, just someone like Jadon Sancho is probably aiming a bit too high. Ahmed Diallo, who's just signed for Man United, would have been a very good signing. I think someone like Papu Gomez from Atlanta would be a good signing for them because he wants out of the club. I think crucially, and I know they've already done it, they should not have let Saliba go out on loan. I think though he had the personal troubles which impacted him, and he admitted himself he wasn't at full fitness, you have to question why have Arsenal spent that money on one of the most promising young French centre-backs in the world just to ship him back out on loan. So I think a new right-back, a new winger, left or right winger, just to free Aubameyang up through the middle, and definitely a new creative player in the number 10 or the number 8 are what Arsenal need to improve and push up forward for the latter half of the season.
Where do I even get started? We probably need a backup position for so many areas. But I would say that right now, in terms of what we need for January, like pivotal in what we need is a backup for Bernd Leno. Runnison for me just isn't good enough. He is shockingly bad, terrible. I'd immediately try to find a backup for him. But in terms of the other positions, you're then looking at more the long-term strategy, and this is where you have to say, if you can identify the player and the player is available that the club wants, then you go after him now, especially if it's at the right price. So you need a true backup for Emil Smith-Rowe, who's that creative player that can play in that number 10 position and maybe somewhere deep. You need a true backup for Saka on the right. For me, Pepe, not good enough. He's had enough time to show that he is, and he's been there 18 months and he hasn't. So for me, you have to find a backup for Saka, and to be honest, you want to find a player that's like Saka, who's two-footed, who's creative, who could potentially score goals. Now, whether this player most likely will be older than Saka just because of how young Saka is, which is fine, but then you gotta ask yourself, what do you do with Pepe and Willian? But if it's not getting backups for those players, then it has to be shipping players out who need to be out. Sokratis, Mustafi, Ozil, they all need to go. They all need to go. The players there who are not part of this long-term project need to go. And I would include Willian and Pepe for me. If you can get offers for them, send them along their merry way. Same thing that goes for Xhaka. He has to go. And I would also look to bring in someone in midfield as well. Someone to play alongside Thomas Partey in that midfield role. Yes, you got a Joe Willock there, but I think that we need somebody more experienced, someone that's a little bit more proven, someone that's better than Dani Ceballos, and someone that's definitely better than Granit Xhaka. And I think once we get all of that sorted, I think that Arsenal will then have a formula and the players that they need in order to not only finish the season strong, but also in the next coming seasons to be able to push on as well, especially when you're looking at some of the loan players that we have and young academy players coming through right now.
I think Arsenal need to invest in a player which is more creative and can create chances, which has been missing from them this season. If, however, we fail to bring a quality central attacking midfielder, we should be bringing Ozil back into the team, since he is world class and knows how to create chances. I don't know if it's possible, but we do need another centre back to establish a back four. But we should not panic by buying David Luiz, etc. So I think that's what we need to aim in this January transfer window.
I think they have to improve or buy a player who can play behind the striker, just like how Manchester United brought Bruno into the side and the entire team's dynamic changed. And they should also see in getting a centre back. And for centre backs, I think they still have to buy one more in the January transfer window to get more stability at the back. I don't think Rob Holding or Mustafi will do the job. I think they've been given more than enough chances to prove themselves.
So now that we've heard the fan perspectives, let's take a look at two of the positions that were mentioned most often: the central defender and the central attacking midfielder. Arsenal have only kept 5 clean sheets this season in the 17 games played so far. They average 1.12 goals conceded per game, which is quite high compared to other teams. Looking at the defenders in their squad, David Luiz, Mustafi and Sokratis are in the final year of their contract. It has been reported that Sokratis is already on his way out. We know that Arteta really wants to spend more time working with Rob Holding and Calum Chambers, as they still have untapped potential. So it's quite possible that Arteta would pick Mustafi or Gabriel to be offloaded and bring in an established central defender as a replacement. Some names that come to mind as replacements are Lucas Verissimo, Kalidou Koulibaly, and Leipzig's Dayo Upamecano. But none of them are going to be cheap. And as we have seen before, the problem with the January transfer window is it takes time for players to adapt into a squad. So you may not see results immediately, especially in critical positions like these. Switching gears to midfield, Arsenal have quite a few options for defensive midfielders already with Saka, El Neni and Partey. The question here is, what kind of a player does Mikel Arteta want to bring in? Do they need a number 10 or do they need more of a number 8? If you'd like to understand the differences between a number 10 and a number 8, check out our positions by number video by clicking here or the link in the description. So for the number 8 position, both Ceballos and Willock do fit the profile. However, Arsenal only have Smith Rowe as a number 10, especially since Ozil is pretty much non-existent at this point. Hence, they would potentially be in the market for an attacking midfielder. One of the most exciting names that comes to mind is Lyon's Houssem Aouar. who has been reported to be interested in looking for a move to the Premier League. If you were Mikel Arteta, which player would you buy? Thanks for watching, and let us know if you agree with this assessment.